I'm Wade Sankey. This is the Sankey Rodeo Show podcast from the cabin right here on the ranch in Sankey, America. It's not going to get any better than that. You just will go. Okay, Ernie Marsh. How would you describe yourself? Silversmith, cowboy.
Lucky to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Craftsman. Father.
Yeah.
Husband.
Mm-hmm.
About sums it up.
Yeah. So, I'll tell a funny story about the first time I ever met you. I was working for Trajan Vieira at Mercury Leatherworks. I was in the back, slave labor,
right?
Minding my own business. Remember this guy says, well, it looks like you got some good help back there. I just picked my head up and I thought, who is this idiot? How does he know I'm good help? No idea. If I'm back here working, I could be coloring. And then ran into you to get on an airplane a few days later and found out who you were. And ever since then, I've been super impressed with your craftsmanship and got to know you and appreciate your stories.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, you're a hell of a leather carver, and that shows up.
Let's try not to.
Try not to go there?
Yeah. Yeah, let's keep this about you.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about me.
Well, thanks for coming.
Oh, you're welcome.
So I'm going to make you tell it, right?
Yeah, I got some other ones too.
Okay. Do you want to start with the Red Rock story?
Well, we could start with that.
Okay. Ernie also rode bulls too.
Yeah, I got on a whole bunch of them, and I rode some of them. But the Red Rock thing wasn't no big deal at the time. It's just that he went and got famous afterwards, and I always thought it was kind of neat. But I didn't talk about it that much either because when I'm at the indoor rodeo at Tacoma, and Charles Sampson has Red Rock when he was bucking, and somebody says to him, "Hey, that kid rode him." I just kind of duck my head and walk off, because he was just a little bitty bugger when I got on him.
Yeah.
He bucked. He did, but, it wasn't first place,
Mm-hmm.
The coolest thing about that was at Sisters, Oregon in 1979. I was 16 years old, and I traveled a couple 100 miles to get there. And Martha Hunking was the rodeo secretary, and she says, "You're not 18." I said, "Yeah, but I come a long ways. I've been to some other rodeos, amateur rodeos. There was the NRA, the ORA, the Idaho Cowboys Association, the WRA. There was a lot of amateur rodeos, so you could buy all those different cards and have something to do every weekend, And anyway, I had to get someone to sign for me at the rodeo. I asked somebody, because I'm a nervous kid, I wonder, what's he look like? Where's he at? He's not here yet. I'm like, what? You got to be kidding me. I wait a while. I'm there. It's 3-4 hours for the rodeo. It's no big rush.
How nervous were you? Did you have your chaps on?
No, I didn't have my chaps on yet. I'd been on a lot of bulls, but hadn't been to too many amateur rodeos at the time. That was in, like I say, 1979. So that's the year before. I had participated in junior rodeo since I was young. And the year before, at 15, I went to the Northwest Junior Rodeo Association finals and got lucky and won the bull riding and the bareback riding. And my dad said, "I'm not hauling you to any more of those junior rodeos. You could go ride with the big boys." Well, I went to ride at the amateur rodeos anyway. Got on big bulls. But actually at that junior rodeo finals, I rode the Northwest Rodeo Bull of the Year. His name was Digger. Black, floppy horn, spinning bull.
Mm-hmm.
Which they don't look good in pictures. But when the floppy horn bull's horn sticking straight up and out, you know he's turned back, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, so I was going to some amateur rodeos and I actually won second at the first one at Roy, Washington, and then went to Sisters. That was like number 2 or 3. And I'm before the rodeo there. I'm waiting for my bull to show up. For some reason, he's later than I am. He shows up in a open top, like a canvas top trailer that looks like a popcorn machine because he's bouncing off the freaking sides and the roof and everything, and that creeped me out a little bit. I guarantee you. And then, but he was small, probably only 3 years old. He would trying to turn around in the chute. He was just a misery, trying to climb up and out. I don't know how many times or if anybody got on him before that. I don't know.
Yeah, could have been the first guy.
Could have been. But the rig he came in had a sign on it that said Red Rock Sand and Gravel, so I'm pretty sure I know where he got his name.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he just jumped a kick like a saddle bronc horse. He never turned back, but he jumped, I don't know, 4.5 feet in the air, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was kind of cool. But the coolest thing about it was the very next day, I seen this girl with a camera, and I just had to say something. And I've been married to Teresa now for 42 years. That was actually 47 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I only got 6th place on Red Rock, but, you know.
But you got a wife out of the deal.
But I got a wife out of the deal, and she's still with me.
Yeah.
So that makes me the winner.
Yep. That's a pretty monumental weekend right there, huh?
Yeah, I'd say so.
So I know you know this, and I know you despise it, but for some reason, me and John Growney were talking about you. And John Growney said, yeah, Ernie Marsh. I know Ernie. He rode Red Rock. Wait a minute. I don't think so. Different guy. Ernie Marsh, spur maker. Yeah, same guy. He rode Red Rock. That's amazing.
I'm just surprised that he would even remember my name.
Well,
yeah.
That's one thing that John will never forget is a name.
Well, he's a great guy, and I love going to his rodeos. I think the last one I went to of his, I think I got 2nd place in Prineville on a little Rodeo Red, I think was his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wade Leslie had won OMAC on him. But he's got the advantage because he's short. He makes him look a lot ranker.
I think everybody's had a Rodeo Red.
Yeah, I think so. There's probably been a dozen of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, way back. I mean, I've had some pretty awkward moments in rodeo as a kid. You know, I liked to rope too. I wore big, thick-ass glasses since I was 8 years old until I just got my eyes fixed, like, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people don't recognize me without my big old, thick Coke bottle glasses. But I didn't like wearing them when I roped, and I was in the wild cow milking. And I run this cow right over by the crowd side of the fence, jumped off, milked her, got turned around, seen a guy on the other side of the arena with a red coat. I'd take off running. He's waving his arms. I was probably 40 feet from the judge when I roped the cow, you know. And I finally got close enough to hear the guy. He's over there waving his arms with his red coat on, and he's saying, "Go back, go back."
I got milk.
I could never live that down. I still get reminded of that when I run into my old friends, you know. Yeah. You're still running the wrong way, aren't you?
Yeah. Boy, that's pretty terrible vision right there.
Yeah, there's been a few things.
Well, what about your craftsmanship? What's the story there? Where were you when you started? I guess, where'd you grow up?
Well, I grew up in mostly Washington State, and we moved around a lot, though, within that area, like Western Washington. primarily.
Yeah.
I always liked the east side better because I didn't like rain, you know. I had a great uncle that lived over near Yakima. I just loved to go see him because for some reason I was always attracted to not being rained on.
Not being wet all the time.
You know, but yeah, I grew up over there, and the advantage was that if you didn't do things in the rain, you didn't get to do anything. And so, you know, later on in life, it didn't really bother you that much to, like going to junior rodeos and stuff. It's like you're going to get wet and muddy anyway.
Yeah.
You might as well try a little bit harder.
Yeah. Get used to being miserable.
And you know, it's just going to take a little more effort to go ahead and win something instead of just getting wet and muddy, because you're not going to stay dry either way, right?
Yeah.
So as much as I hate rain, that was an advantage in sometimes.
Yeah. Learn to embrace it.
Later on in life, it's like you're going to get wet anyway. So
Yeah.
might as well bear down.
Yeah.
Went to school over there. Went to, I don't know, 5 or 6 schools probably. Most of my friends ended up being my rodeo friends, you know, because that's the only place that was always going to be the same people there all the time.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, I can make friends about anywhere. Has more to do with you than them most of the time. But I got out of high school, and I wanted to learn to ride broncs. Real bad, I thought. Apparently not bad enough because it never happened. But me and Teresa, we got out of high school. I guess we spent a year on the road. We went down south, rodeoing down there in the IRA, some. And then when we got back, I kind of figured I probably need a place to live, so probably should get a job. And but I want to learn to ride broncs, so Harry Noble's practice pen was over Hermiston, Oregon. A lot of those bronc riders, you know, like to go there, and he was great. He'd lope alongside you, telling you what to do, stuff like that, you know. And damn, you fell off again. You did it again, you know.
Positive reinforcement.
You pulled. I told you to lift. Anyway, I ended up getting a job on a ranch over there, a 6-prong ranch near east of Goldendale, Washington. So we were there for several years, and that was a pretty good time in my life.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big yearling outfit. They run about, and I always wanted to be a real cowboy too, aside from just rodeos, you know.
Yeah.
And
what did your parents do? Did they ranch?
my dad was always all he ever wanted to do was be a cowboy, but he did towards several times of his life, you know. My father, I was actually born down in California. I was a Navy brat.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, my dad come from Missouri, and my mom was from down at Chula Vista out of San Diego. And I was born in Mountain View, California. My dad was stationed he was in the Navy, but he was like naval air. So he was a loadmaster on a C-130, flying in and out of Vietnam on a regular basis. And then we headed north. He got out of the service, I think, 68. I would have been 5 years old at the time.
Yeah.
6. So I was born in 62. So, yeah. So we headed up, lived in Oregon briefly, and then he went to work for Boeing's, working on the flight line, riveting wings. And
Building airplanes.
Yeah, and then he worked on the pipeline in Alaska.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The big one, like the pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, in the early 70s, right?
Yeah.
And, well, he flew for Alaskan Airlines. He was a loadmaster on a cargo plane for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And hauling equipment back and forth and whatnot. So it was 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off. My mom didn't have a driver's license. We lived out in the pucker brush. It's all built up around there now, but we would ride a horse. When I was little, she'd ride a horse and pony my mule. Mm-hmm. We'd go get groceries about, 6 miles away down the highway.
Really?
Log trucks flying by and whatnot. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty cowboy.
Yeah, it kind of is.
If you're chasing cows or not.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, I broke that little mule to ride in a pig pen, so it couldn't get away, right?
Yeah. They
just put me on it. And when it wasn't trying to kill me, we got along just fine. But my dad was a horse trader also. Mm-hmm. And, my God, I remember horses would just come and go. If we had one time I think we lived on a half an acre of land and, there was anywhere from 12 to 15 horses there all the time.
Yeah.
It was just dust. Mm-hmm. And his favorite, and it was true, but one of his favorite sayings was, you'll have to ride him, Ernie, because you're too little to ear him down for me. And we did things a little wrong and a little different. But actually, looking back on it, I think it was like the first horse rescue operation. We didn't call it that. We called it horse trading. Mm-hmm. But, if a trainer for, within 100 miles had a cast on his arm, we get a new horse,
Yeah.
And we would buy them killer horses and try to do something with them. But we thought we were making money. We didn't go around begging for hay, know. Just give them value and, just ride them and ride them and ride them and take them in the mountains and ride them some more and, and try to give a horse some value so that someone might want to own it and be proud of it,
Yeah.
So we didn't think of it like we were saving horses, really. We just thought that was a good source for horses.
Yeah. Well, it worked.
Yeah, and I started colts for people when I was a kid, and I still don't know shit about it, but I started a lot of horses in my life. I'm finding out now that I'm old that I kind of like them a little bit gentler.
Yeah.
But back in the day, somebody was paying you for 30 days. You pretty much got on it on day one and rode it for 30 days.
Yeah.
So for, $150. So
never be another poor day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we thought we were rich.
Yeah.
So I always had horses, but the only problem with that was once you got one going good, you really kind of got to liking it, he'd sell it.
Yeah.
It was gone.
Yep. I understand that.
Yeah, I bet you do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just a constant rotation.
Yeah.
Of horses and we weren't horse trainers. We were just training them so that people could ride them down a trail.
Yeah.
Without getting bucked off.
Yeah.
And we had the same trouble 50 years ago that people do now. You do a good job with somebody's horse and tell them, look, you need to do something with this horse every day, or he's going to lose this.
Yeah.
Because if you're not going ahead, you're losing ground, right?
Yeah.
Of course. So every, August, September, I'd get, 6 of them back just before hunting season.
Yeah.
To tune them up because the people hadn't been riding them all year long.
Yeah.
Which got to be a problem because every year they get a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger.
And more spoiled.
And more spoiled.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, but,
well, so that's how you grew up.
Yep.
And then you were living in Hermiston, working on a ranch.
Well, we lived...
or outside of Hermiston.
About 50 miles east of Hermiston on the north side on the Washington side of the river.
Yeah.
A place called Roosevelt. It's just a couple of granaries with the railroad tracks going by there. I think there's 40, 50 people that live there.
Yeah.
But Six Prong Ranch at that time was a couple of ranches combined at that time. And we'd put 15,000 yearlings through there a year. We'd get like 9,500 in the spring and ship, late July. And then about a month later, we'd get another 5,500 or something like that, kind of rotate around on those hills.
Mm-hmm. And it was all grass?
It's all grass. You know, it's rough country. It was like the breaks of the Columbia River on the north side.
Yeah.
Not really in the gorge, but just kind of high mountains there east of Goldendale. I'm sure you've been through Biggs and that country.
Probably
down the river.
Yeah, I mean, we go from Lewiston to Pendleton every year, and I can't remember the names of any of those towns, but it's got to be right around there, huh?
Yeah, it's
go
east,
through Walla
it's
Walla.
east of there, or west of there, about maybe 100 miles west of Walla.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah, if you went to Pendleton going north and just crossed the river and turned west, it'd be about 50 miles.
I see.
Yeah. So it's kind of on the breaks, deep canyons, lots of roping.
Yeah.
Which was fun because, steep country. So you see a pink-eyed steer, you kind of ease them up, find you a little bench somewhere, but then you had to get on them pretty quick,
Yeah.
And the wind was always blowing. You had to think about that too, because that 40-mile-an-hour wind blow that rope right back over your head.
Which is why they've got all the windmills out there now.
That's exactly where they're at.
Yeah.
Right up there, yeah. Yeah, you drive through that country now, and it just, they're all a bunch of windmills.
Yeah.
But there was Indian land that Ranch leased, and they had range up on the Sadis, too, Sadis area.
Yeah.
All in all, I think the lower ranch was maybe 60,000.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. It was big.
Yeah.
Yeah. It went, quite a few miles.
Does any of that place still exist?
I forget who bought that, but actually, I worked there for a guy named Cal Courtwright Cattle Company. He had 2 feedlots, one in Topnish, one in Warden up by Moses Lake. And I think he had 3 different ranches put together.
Yeah.
And then it crashed. Older guys will remember that in the early 80s, mid-80s, 84, 85, winter of 84, or maybe it was mostly 80, somewhere in there, they had the big dairy buyout, and beef hit the dirt, and I was going to a bunch of rodeos. 84, I filled my permit one weekend, and they had the rule then that you couldn't go to amateur rodeos and pro rodeos.
Yeah.
Not sure when that changed, 87, 88, somewhere in that zone?
I should know this, but I don't.
Yeah, this was just before that. And anyway, I was going to Cheyenne and Ogden and somewhere in Montana. Livingston? No, not Livingston.
Wolf Point.
Nah, it was up on the far eastern edge. Lewiston?
Maybe Miles City.
Oh, Thompson Falls.
Oh.
Yeah. Joe Kelsey rodeo.
Yeah.
And I got laid off the day before I was going to leave because we just got done shipping steers. And I thought it was because I was rodeoing, and they never liked that much anyway, even though I wasn't on a salary. And I had my own house rented in town. So I thought that was the reason, but it wasn't. It was because that guy, I think he knew things were in trouble. I went to all those rodeos and didn't win anything. I got day money. But then I was kind of ended up at Newport, rodeo in Newport, Washington. And I had a really good one, and I bucked me off. Double out, Red Devil. And I was all pissed off. Damn, what am I going to do now? I just lost my job. I went to 6 rodeos, and this is bad.
There seems to be a pattern here. I got to point this out. Red Rock, Rodeo Red Devil.
Yeah. I never put that together before, but
that's why I'm here.
Seems like my whole life has been based on wrong assumptions and recoveries.
That's the
anyway,
most important
I was
part.
behind the chutes up there with no job. Spent all my money on entry fees. Even back then, like Cheyenne entry fees were like $250 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess I should say something. I mean, I just did the rodeo thing kind of on my own terms, I figured out pretty quick that, back then guys in the top 15 were broke at the end of the year.
Yeah.
In debt maybe at the end of the year because you could go to as many rodeos as you could get to then. They didn't have the 100 rodeo rule.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to travel. I mean, I took Teresa everywhere I went. I very rarely went anywhere without her. I mean, I know a lot of guys do it, but here's the catch. If you have a nice home or something, your wife may be happy to stay at home, but if you leave your wife in a wall tent or a 1967 RV with a tarp on the top, she's probably not going to be there when you get back.
Probably better take her with you.
Probably better take her with you. So that was kind of my situation. I mean, we lived in our truck sometimes, and but anyway, up at that last rodeo, I met a friend of mine. Says, "What's the problem, Ernie?" And I'm like, God dang it, he bucked me off. This is my last shot. I need to go get a job. He said, "Well, be up in Colville, Washington at whatever 5:30 in the morning at the Red Bull Tavern. That's where we meet. I'll put you to work." And I went to work in the woods and bucking logs on the landing, tree length logs, 3 skidders coming at me all day.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve Bovan was that guy. He was a PRCA bull rider in the Northwest. And I've never known whether I should kick him in the kneecap or give him a big hug. I haven't decided yet. But he got me involved in the logging, which was and up there. I mean, I never been so cold and worked so hard and been so broke in my entire life. But I did learn a lot and met people up there. Luke Herman I think he was the bull riding director in the Columbia circuit. He lived in Colville. He was a good guy, super good friend. I worked there through the winter and pulled back out in the spring and went to the coast to cut timber. But Luke ended up getting killed up there the following year, I think 1986. Logging, yeah. There's a lot of logging cowboys up there.
Really?
Oh, yeah, logging. I mean, they're tough. There's a lot of Indian cowboys up there that know how to cut timber, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lost a couple of good rodeo guys. Paul Renke was a just a super nice guy, smiles all the time. He got killed in a logging accident up there too. Anyway, I went to the coast and went to fallen timber over there. I was lucky enough to get in with a crew that could kind of break you in and show you how not to get hurt. I try to. I mean, you can get hurt, you know. I didn't plan on doing that for the rest of my life, but I spent about 8-9 years fallen timber.
Really?
Yeah. 8 years. Something like that. Yeah, probably 8 years. I mean, you know, whatever you do, you want to do the best you can. And it's pretty important with a job like that to kind of do the best you can, or you might not come home, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, you know, I took my wife, Teresa, cutting timber with me. It's a kind of a crazy deal. I had to finish a job. It was up off of Lake Cle Elum, west of Ellensburg.
Mm-hmm.
And it was over the weekend, and nobody else wanted to work, and there was only one strip left to finish before the tower come in and started raking in the logs. So they wanted them all down. So, Ernie, why don't you go finish that? Yeah, okay, I can. He said, well, I ain't got nobody to send with you, but you know, she'll go up there. She got a radio in case you get hurt. You know, you're not supposed to go by yourself. And she decided that riding bulls looked a lot safer. steep ground, big wood, you know.
It's all about perspective, right?
Yeah, and lots of noise, and you know, some of them things kind of rattle the ground when they go down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but riding bulls looked pretty good to her.
Yeah.
After that, that's the only day she went with me, I think. Yeah, but I went to the coast, and then in 1990, I went to a bit spur making school that I'd wanted to go to for years, clear back since I was like 85 when I was down there working on that ranch. I decided I want to make bridle bits and spurs. And so I had got the brochure 5 years earlier. But cutting timber allowed me to make enough money that I could actually take a month off and actually put myself through the course.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started doing that in the evenings. And I should say I quit riding bulls in 1989. So the following year, I just focused all that energy into doing, you know, making bridle bits and spurs.
So was it kind of a hobby, or did you plan on making a living doing it?
Well, it's like I say, my whole life has been based on these misconceptions and wrong assumptions that I thought people did make a living doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Same with the bull riding, you know. It's like, I don't want to go to college. I just want to ride bulls.
Yeah.
Who cares about that? You know, you're not going to live past 30 anyway. So,
yeah,
you know, you got this crazy idea. But anyway, I had the idea that I was going to make a living building bridle bits and spurs. And so I kind of did it in the evenings, and it was kind of honing it. And the cool thing is that the school I went to was a guy named Elmer Miller, Nampa, Idaho. He passed away in 1993. But in that year, he actually received the National Endowment for the Arts fellowship, which is the highest honor that an artist can get from the nation.
Really?
Yeah.
And so this is across the world, not just the Western lifestyle. Or
yeah,
across America.
Across the whole spectrum of, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you go to, and the cool thing is, I'm going to skip about 35 years, but I got the same honor last year and went to Washington, D.C. And so I thought that was pretty cool that my mentor had got that, and now I was pretty humbled to get the same thing.
Absolutely.
We're the only 2-bit and spur makers to ever be chosen.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. But then jump back again, cutting timber. And that's one reason. I'll jump back even further. One reason I quit riding bulls was, it was hard. You drag your butt out of some canyon on a Thursday or Friday, drive 1,000 miles and try to be your best, and it was just frustrating. But I didn't have, we were living in a trailer and whatnot. And then I got stepped on at the Dalles, kind of puffed up my knee, kind of needed a surgery. And this reminds me, it's what rang a bell with me when you're talking to Scott Bredding. He said he just rehabbed it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I did. I rehabbed mine with a chainsaw in my hand and just kind of limped around the woods all winter. And then I thought, should I crack back out? And I thought, I'm feeling pretty good. I think maybe I'll just get my shit together and then go back at it. And I'll let you know when that happens because it's been almost 40 years.
Still the plan, though.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, in 1993, the Spotted Owl crowd swooped in and shut the woods down. Of course, we've been choking on the smoke ever since, But it kind of put us in a tight spot because we were just trying to save up to buy a place, and so we ended up moving to Eastern Oregon, which was to get east of the mountains was my goal anyway.
Yeah.
To get back on the dry side, right? We'd been back and forth 3 times, so. And we moved to John Day, Oregon, bought us a little trailer and built a little shop behind the house. And I went to work and took a hell of a cut and pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be self-employed.
Yeah. As a bit and spur maker. Yeah. And I'm not really a production guy. I mean, a one-man shop is not going to be able to compete with actual production spurs, I mean, and so, rodeo spurs are kind of cool, and that was the crowd that I loved, that I knew, but I also really liked the buckaroo, the cowboy lifestyle too. And, the neatest horses that I ever seen at the rodeo growing up when I was a kid, whatever, the ones I had the most respect and appreciation for was the pickup horse. The pickup horse is more of a bridle horse. He don't know where that bronk's going to go. He might have to rope a bull in the parking lot outside with people and cars.
Yeah.
That horse is trained to respond to the rider, to cues, and of course they got to know livestock too. But all the rest of the rodeo horses are repetitious. We've all seen the kid fall off that good-looking little barrel horse and have it run the pattern with or without him. The head and horse turns left. The heeler horse, he stops.
Yeah.
And so I've always just those big old stout bridle horse, and sometimes those guys have a silver bit in their mouth, which kind of makes me want to go back to something else rodeo and set the record straight. Some bull riders can actually ride horses, but it don't look like it. I'll tell you why. I went to Kennewick, pro rodeo at Kennewick. I rode Mighty White. He was a Mighty White at Stevens Brothers. I think he was in the Eliminator pen. I seen Snyder. Damn it. I know the guy's name. bull riding champion of the world from Canada, Snyder. Yeah.
I'm not going to open my mouth and prove my ignorance.
Yeah, anyway, I think he won it one year, but he rode him at the finals. It was an eliminator pin bull. I show up at the rodeo, and I'm talking to some guy. He's about 7 feet tall. And I said, "What's that mighty white?" Because I had no idea. And he says, "Well, he's going to go out there about one jump, whip you down on his head." I thought, "Oh.
Thanks for coming, kid."
Okay. Yeah, thanks for coming." So, oh, darn. Anyway, I ended up riding him. And then one thing I wasn't that used to was making some victory lap around the arena, you know. So I hear this, "Hey, get down here." I hop down there, get on this horse. I jump on this horse. The stirrups are about a mile too long because it belongs to that same guy.
Yeah.
This rodeo queen comes by me 145 miles an hour, and we're gone. That's when I realized there's about a foot of slack in this cinch. I think a Chihuahua could have jumped through it, right? So I go to the horn and the mane, and I'm holding the saddle on the horse.
With your bull riding spurs on it?
No, I had them off, I think.
Okay.
But yeah. So, I mean, I think some bull riders could probably ride a little bit better than what they're given a chance to ride. I mean, at that time, I was working full-time on a ranch horseback almost every day, you know.
Yeah.
But I wasn't used to riding them with 6 inches of slack in the cinch.
Yeah.
Going 100 miles an hour around the rodeo arena.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
On a questionable mount.
Yeah, and my folks were there at the time, and my dad's like, "What the hell?"
Did you stay on?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I stayed on, but it wasn't easy. I'd have been better off without the saddle at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. There's been some pretty funny ones. Where was I?
Well, I don't know. I got to listening, not paying attention. Moved back to John Day, huh?
Yep. Yeah, we had our shop set up there at John Day, and life was good. Had 2 little boys at the time, one in 94 and one in 97, and for some reason I got or 98 on the second one. I think I got a wild hair, and we decided that we wanted to maybe own some cows. So we bought a place down in Westfall, Oregon, which is between Burns and Ontario, north of the highway.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little remote, about 15 miles off the highway that goes to Burns to the north. And that's when I realized that I ain't much of a farmer either. I went from whining about paying $100 a ton for hay to paying $150 a ton and growing it all myself.
Yeah.
Doing all the work.
Yeah, think about it. $100, that's pretty cheap.
Well, it was in 2000, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing about growing my own hay was if it got rained on, I just got rained on hay. I didn't get to be picky about what hay I wanted,
Yeah.
Just eat what you grow, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah, but you got another job out of the deal.
Yeah, I got another job, like a full-time job. So I was trying to, that's when I also learned that nobody pays you for being the boss. So I always thought working on a ranch was kind of thin, but hell, when you're trying to buy one, you don't get nothing.
Yeah.
Especially when you start from scratch, right?
Yeah.
Trying to make that payment and trying to learn it all, how to grow hay. So misconceptions, wrong assumptions. Back to that again. I tried to make the difference. I tried to make it from cowboy to cowman. It didn't quite go together for me.
Yeah.
There's a difference there, And I've known some good cowmen, but yeah, I'm not one.
Yeah.
And we still got a couple cows, but we just raise them for our own meat. So
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about the market price and when to do this and when to do that. We just kill one in the fall, and that's good enough for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you set your shop up there?
Well, we bought an old schoolhouse. The schoolhouse was made in 1892.
Really? Like a one-room schoolhouse?
2 rooms. And I actually took a partner on, Monty Beckman, saddle maker. Used to build for Hamleys. He ran the Hamley shop in the late 80s.
Yeah.
Good friend of mine. And we he had one side and I had the other. And then he had a partner too, Dennis Hensley. And I'm getting ahead of myself again, but then me and Dennis moved. When me and Teresa moved to Wyoming in 2011, we sold that shop, and then Dennis came with us to Etna, Wyoming, Star Valley.
Okay.
And I took my cow money and bought a house there on the highway to make a shop out of.
So what was the partnership? Just on the building?
On the building.
Gotcha.
They made saddles and I made silver bits. And so you could go to Westfall, Oregon and buy a saddle or a bit or a pair of spurs or some fancy silver conchos, but no pop, no gas, no nothing. You could mail a letter there. Teresa was the postmaster, but that was it. There was no store or nothing out there.
Yeah.
It had been a town. It was one of those towns where it was a pretty big town until they built a railroad 20 miles away.
Oh, really?
And then hauled all the houses down there, to Harper, Oregon.
Yeah, left the school.
Yeah. So that was cool. I should back up a little more. Talking about the bit making business. I hear a lot of your question, people, you make the connections at the rodeos and stuff, right? That affect the rest of your life, really. I mean, I had a bull riding buddy named Brian Davis, and when I was starting to learn how to make bits and spurs, he said his dad was a bit and spur maker, lived in John Day. That's actually kind of one reason it made us go look at John Day and why we ended up liking and moving there. We spent 10 years there, but his father recently passed, and but I owe that guy a lot because Lonnie Davis, I learned a lot of stuff about the business. We did things completely differently, but it was just good to have him around talking about the business.
So he was still in John Day?
He was in John Day at that time, yeah. Yeah.
So you were a competitor?
I wouldn't say so. We were buddies,
Yeah.
Yeah, this business is really not about competition. Someone either likes his work or they like my work or they can afford my work or they can afford his work or whatever, And a lot of people have both.
But it could have been viewed as that.
It could have been, except there was really no big business to fight over. It's like I said before, very few people can make a living doing it, But Lonnie was an old cowboy from way back. He was one of those Livermore, California ropers back in the 50s, 60s, or 60s. And he'd moved to Eastern Oregon, went to shoeing horses. And then by the time I'd met him, he was in John Day there. I was shopping John Day. I was up out of town. He was down there near town, on the end of town. But it was through him that I got to know one of my other heroes, Al Tegan, who was a bit maker in Reno, Nevada, who, when I started in the bit making business, I got his bits, kind of rubbed in my face for years. I'd buy one from you, kid, if they were as nice as Al Tegan's, Or if you could make a mouthpiece like Al Tegan, I'd buy one of your bits. I heard that a million times. They would just drag it out there,
Mm-hmm.
And Al Tegan, coincidentally, is a cousin to the guy that taught me.
Oh, really?
Elmer Miller, yeah. Elmer lived in Nampa, Idaho, and Al lived in Reno, Nevada. And so, they were old timers, of course, I didn't meet them till they're old. I'm sure they were young before that. But Al was the big dog in my mind in the bit making world, to where I thought someday I'm going to do that. Well, Lonnie Davis and him were good friends. And so I get a call, hey, come downtown. Somebody wants to take you out to lunch. And I go down there, and it's Al Tegan. And he'd come up to visit Lonnie and talk to me because Lonnie had told him about me. And Al had a line of production bits that he started making in, I'll back up, he started making bits in the 1940s or early 50s, and then he went off to war, to the Korean conflict, I think. And then he came back, and by then because him and Elmer had been partners previous to him going in the military.
Yeah.
Okay. They'd went to California, and they sold bits through big companies there, Visalia. Some of those bits were made by them. Them really nice old-timey inlaid bits,
So these are not the production bits?
No, those weren't the production ones.
Okay, let's get back to production in a second. But what made him want to meet you? What had you done?
Well, I was just doing the best I could, making nicer bits. I should mention, too, that I right when we moved to Oregon and the Spotted Owl come down and got all our jobs, and we all went down the road kicking rocks,
Yeah.
I had a little bit of jingle in my pocket, but not a lot, just about enough for that down payment on 20 acres with a trailer house, and that took some finagling. But we ended up actually owning a property at that time. But I went to an engraving school, firearms engraving school, because really I was starving to death making bits. I went from timber falling wages, which at that time was, $2,500, $3,000 a month or whatever it was, to $800 a month making bits,
Mm-hmm.
And Teresa was making pies. She'd get up at 2:00 in the morning and go make pies for a cafe there in John Day. That was her job. Yeah. Kudos for that. Who the hell'd stick with me, right? But anyway, I put her through it, But anyway, Al had heard about through Lonnie Davis, but Al had started this production bits in like 1969. He'd been making handmade ones for 10 or 20 years already, but he wanted something more affordable that was loose jawed, that was like a California style bit, more of a signal bit, and he developed these molds that he would send to a foundry, and then he could put together a nice using bit that looked good. It's got engraved cheeks, but they're stainless,
Mm-hmm.
and they're cast. And he had built those until 1984, and then there was so much. He had them in stores all over the country for a while, quite a few years actually, and then so much imported bits started coming in from other places, Asia, whatever, and he was just kind of demoralized that they would. I mean, he was selling his for $75, but they could sell theirs for 12, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, they weren't as good as his.
Yeah.
Nobody will ever hardly, you'll see them trading on Facebook now, but most people don't sell them. Most people say that was my grandpa's bit. Sometimes I'll get a call from my grandpa. I'll say, hey, my grandkids took off with my bit. I need another one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, I mean, they're more of an heirloom type thing, right? I mean, an old one will bring just as much as a new one does now.
Sure.
But anyway, he wanted to sell that to me. And so he approached me, and we went out for lunch, and he says, about my production bits. I mean, there's still a lot of work into them. It's not like they're factory made or whatever. I mean, they pour the steel, two guys with a container of molten metal and pour them, So that's kind of handmade. And then they take them out of there and probably run them through some sort of tumbler or something. But when we get them, they're pretty rough.
Yeah.
And
some assembly required.
Lots of assembly required. Lots of sanding, polishing, finishing.
Yeah.
Any defects, you're chasing those, and then you're welding up the mouthpieces. And, I'd say there's maybe 5-6 man hours in one of those, as opposed to 80 plus however many hours you want to put into a handmade bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, anywhere from 80 to infinity.
Yeah.
I've made some bits that took me 4 or 5 months, but just to see if you can, right? I wonder if I can do that. Anyway, Al said, I want to sell this to a bit maker. They'd been out of production for like almost 15 years at that time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he put them away in 1984. And he said, I don't know if they're going to work with all the competition out there, but he said, people still call me wanting these things, and I haven't made them for 14 years,
Yeah.
He was still doing handmade bits himself, but with the silver inlays and everything. But the nice thing about these Tegan bits is that, cowboys can buy them and they last, But anybody that wants to make a good bridle horse can usually come up with enough money to buy one of these.
Mm-hmm.
So I really wanted them. Number one, people have been rubbing those things in my face for years already.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, they could be mine. And the other one is, he's like the big kahuna, and I thought a lot of him. And we worried about it. First I'm like, Al, I ain't got no damn money. I'm a bit maker. He's like, yeah, I know that. I'll pack you. Let's just see if it'll work. You crack these out and see if they'll go. And then, I'll work with you. And so I come up with all the money I could come up with. I think I might have borrowed against cars that didn't even run. But
as we all have.
Yeah. But anyway, we put together a package the best that we could. And my brother moved down there and helped me out. And that's why that's one reason we used the Marsh Brothers logo. The other one was because I had a couple of young boys I thought might step into that someday. Milo and Audie are my sons. Turned out that so far they haven't went that direction, but so we started building those bits, and the first year, I mean, people were glad to see them back.
Mm-hmm.
They were also glad to have people that could repair the ones that had been maybe hanging on a nail for 10 or 15 years that maybe got in a wreck.
Yeah. So how did you market them?
Well, the first thing I did was buy an ad in the Western Horseman, a picture with all of them.
And it was it Tegan Bits by Marsh Brothers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. He told me I had to change the stamp because he didn't want liability issues, right? But he let me use his name, and I wanted to because they weren't my invention. They weren't my designs. They weren't.
Yeah.
So I never really mixed it up. I mean, we jazzed some of them up with some of my silver work a lot, but we always stamped them with the Marsh Brothers logo. I kept those bits completely separate from my ones that are marked E. Marsh and numbered. And so it's always been a separate deal. You know, it gets kind of cloudy when people, but so if you see a Marsh Brothers bit with some silver work, there's a 90% chance that it's mine.
Yeah.
That I did. I mean, it's 100% chance it came out of our shop.
Yeah.
But it might have been my brother engraving on it, or it might have been me. It might have been Jesse, you know. He's a good hand.
Yeah. And Jesse's your brother?
Yeah, younger brother.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he lives down in Gray Bull. He's a horseshoer. He's been shoeing horses since he was like 15 years old, so he's almost 40 years into that, you know.
Yeah.
He's got to be in his early, he's got to be 54, 55. Now, I'm 63 minus 8 from that. He's going to be 55 this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
We're getting old, man.
Still hammering them on.
Still hammering them on. Yeah, he's he shod horses on the coast up out of, you know, south of Seattle, all the hunter jumpers and all that stuff, and for years and years and years. And then he just moved down here to Gray Bull, Wyoming about 4 years ago. And he was just going to build bits and spurs, but then he got to itching about shoeing some horses. So he's just kind of hung his shingle out last summer, I think, and he's already getting pretty busy.
Yeah. Yeah, no shortage of work for horseshoer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just we like living in the Bighorn Basin. It's good country. This is good country. I love coming up here to this place, you know. Good scenery and whatnot.
So you went from John Day and you were rolling. Had the Tegan line
had the Tegan line going.
Had your custom line going.
Had the custom line going.
And then I forgot where you said you went.
Westfall, Oregon.
Yeah.
Yeah, we was at Westfall, and I even had I even got some helpers there, and we were selling a lot of goods through Hamleys in Pendleton.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yep, there for a while. We just got a wild hair. Well, number one, I guess they were going to close the post office. These little post offices, they closed a lot of those down in 2010 or 11.
Mm-hmm.
2011, I think they started that process, and that little post office there didn't pay a lot, but it's where we had our insurance.
Yeah.
Right. Of course, there was a law then that said you had to have insurance or you got to pay a big fine. You know.
Yeah.
So, which didn't seem fair to me to have to pay a fine for something I couldn't afford.
Yeah. Welcome to America.
It didn't feel like America there for a while.
Yeah.
And so anyway, Teresa was able to transfer to Cody. And we've always loved Wyoming anyway. We come through here in 85, you know, went to Cheyenne and drove up to Cody, and we thought, man, that's pretty nice. And it was always in the back of our mind, someday, you know.
Yeah.
And
didn't you end up in Matitsi?
We did for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, we rented a house there, and I worked out of the garage, had all that stuff rolling. The neighbors probably still remember my tumblers out there.
Yeah.
I tried not to run them in the evening, but yeah, I had tumblers going all day and making some noise there. But we lived right in town.
Yeah.
And Matitsi's a great place. We looked around there, and there really wasn't nothing available for us. And then after moving all the way over here, chasing the insurance, Teresa just got mad and quit. She didn't retire. She just quit.
Mm-hmm.
I said, yeah, if you want to quit, you can quit. She wasn't getting along there. I shouldn't get into too much of that. But the postmaster, a couple more people in Teresa's position went through it too, and then the postmaster finally just got removed, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I told Teresa, we're too old to put up with that, you know.
Yeah.
That was all new anyway. I mean, file a grievance, you know. I'd never worked anywhere where a stick about 3 feet long didn't settle everything, you know.
You didn't get an opinion.
But so that was all kind of really frustrating, you know. But anyway, I said, you're too old for that. So we moved out to Lovell and bought part of an old, I guess it was a goat ranch. And we've really enjoyed that. It's beautiful. Right on the Bighorn River. And the best thing about it was an owner contract, and the guy worked with me until I could sell some property that I, you know, was trying to sell there in Oregon.
Yeah.
Yeah. He made me a hell of a deal, you know. I said, I got some money. I said, but I need to fix up this shop so I can go to work. I said, that's a priority, you know. I said, so I'll give you a little bit, and then I'll pay you $400 a month. And then when I sell my property in Oregon, I'll just write you a check.
Yeah.
I said, okay. He never checked me out or nothing.
Yeah.
Kind of handshake type of deal, you know.
Yeah.
Pretty good old boy. So we were able to kind of slide in there, and it worked out. After a couple of years, we sold our other property. Yeah. And so, my kids have grown up now. One of them lives in Wisconsin. Milo's in Wisconsin. He's a carpenter. And Audie's in the Wyoming National Guard down out of Guernsey. Works for the DOW full time. So yeah, it's kind of hard for me to tell him what to do. He's making more money than I ever did.
Yeah. And he has insurance.
And he's got insurance. And a couple years ago, you know, they had that shot thing, right? And he was really, really not wanting it very bad. So he drug his ass until the very end. And they had the papers on the desk with his name on it, you know? And he called me up. He said, Dad, he said, I don't know. I don't know about this. I don't want to get the goddamn shot, you know? And I said, well, as far as I know, only 1 out of 700 or 800 people have a bad reaction to it.
Is this the COVID shot?
The COVID shot.
Okay.
And I was on the fence about that for a long time until there were people that did have a bad reaction to it, and they swept them under the rug, pretended like they didn't exist. I mean, goddamn, if you're going to take one for the team, they shouldn't kick you off the team just because you have a heart condition afterwards.
Yeah.
Right? Anyway, that's all beside the point. He's like, Dad, I don't know if I want to do that. I said, you remember when you were like 6 years old? He said, yeah. I said, if I was in your position, I could have retired then. He's like, okay, Dad.
Yeah.
I get it.
All right, real quick, we got to pay some bills. Got to say thank you to the Bozeman Stampede, Bozeman, Montana.
Folks, the Bozeman Stampede, greatest rodeo in the world, maybe the universe. Huge crowds, beautiful bulls, riders tougher than my Twitter feed. Other rodeos, sad. This one wins so much you'll get tired of winning, but you won't. Believe me.
Craftsmanship.
Well, I'll back up again. Keep backing up. You know, when I first went to that bit and spur making school, I learned how to inlay silver, how to build a bit, a functional piece. And like I say, it just wasn't paying that much, you know, because it takes quite a while to build one. And, you know, at the time I was probably selling them for a really nice one for $350, you know.
Yeah.
So it was, and we used to go to shows. We went to California, down to Paso Robles, Santa Ynez, Red Bluff, Elko. We made the tour. That was before the internet. So, I mean, you would camp out in your shop like 24/7 for a month or two before one of those events, and then take your credit card and do the traveling to the place, and then just to see if you could get paid for the previous 2 months is really a poor business plan.
Yeah.
You know, and I met an old bit maker down in Santa Ynez, Edwin Fields. His family's have been bit makers for generations. He's since passed, but his son builds bits, probably his grandson now. But he said, you do a nice job, son. He says, it's too bad a man can't make a living at this. And, geez, my jaw hit the floor because I thought once I got as famous as him that I'd be making a good living, you know. But it come to find out that there really wasn't that many guys that made those nice fancy bits that could actually make a living at it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm going to ask this while I'm thinking about it, then we'll get back. Is there, when you first started, is there a piece or anything that you wish you had back?
To bury it, you mean? I've got my first bit still.
Oh, really?
I do. Yep, I do. It's a Las Cruces with like a Salinas mouthpiece in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a quarter horse stud that I used to ride with that bit quite a bit.
Is there silver on it?
Oh, yeah. It's silver inlaid. And because I tinkered around building spurs for about a year or so before I went to that school, but I did not want to make a bit until I went to there because I was afraid that if I built one that didn't function properly, I mean, I would be starting out on the wrong foot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd waited a year to make that bit. And when I went to that bit and spur making school, I mean, it had been 5 years I was wanting to do that. And I mean, all I wanted to do was make bits and eat. I could hardly even sleep, you know. I think it was only a 30-day school. I came out of there with like 5 pieces, and they weren't pretty. I mean, they were okay. They were made correctly.
Yeah.
But the ornamentation still needed work. I mean.
So what about the correctness of a bit?
Well, that's kind of in the eye of the beholder as far as what you're using it for, you know. Like we might have touched on before with the difference between signal-based training and repetitious training, right? So I'm not one of these bit snobs where I do this and everyone else is doing it wrong. I mean, there's horsemen literally all over the world that have an amazing amount of success doing things completely differently.
Yeah.
Right? So I didn't really go into the cutting or rodeo or repetitiously trained styles,
Mm-hmm.
right? I like I said, I've always admired the bridle horses, and there's something about them, the way they move, the way they're trained, the way they can just be moved around with subtle signals, you know, work a cow in the alley or whatever. I mean, there's a reason for that one-handed subtle signaling. I mean, if you get up before daylight every day and work cows until dark, how hard do you want to work, right? If you're having to spur and kick and jerk all damn day, day after day after day, you're going to live a miserable life. So why not have a horse that's highly trained where your hand stays 4 inches from the saddle horn that could spin a hole in the ground or cut a cow or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Rope that bull in the parking lot, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So
something you could move around on your legs.
Yeah.
And the bit is just one more signal device, And then there's mouthpieces, the spade bit is mainly for a pretty highly trained horse. It's not a training tool. It's not a make them hurt type of a bit. It's that spade mouth is actually, when a horse has a hold of that, it's the amount of mass in it spreads any weight or pressure out throughout such a larger area of his tongue. And the straight bar on the bottom would let them carry it on their bars or on their tongue. And so it's personal preference. It's the way you train your horses. It's, I guess, the kind of horses you're riding, what you're comfortable with, you'll make work. But I even had this talk with a veterinarian once. He said, I prefer a lot of tongue relief. I said, well, that sounds good. I said, but it doesn't change the weight or the pressure. So you get more bar pressure with more tongue relief equals more bar pressure.
What's tongue relief?
Well, it's that bend in the middle of the mouthpiece that can be a double-edged sword. In some ways, it's a space for that tongue to kind of get crammed up in there, which isn't always a good thing. Most bridle horses would prefer a straight bar on the bottom of a half-breed or a spade because that gives them the most control over how much bar pressure they're going to have, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you put a big port in the mouthpiece, you're taking away their choices. So I would say if a horse's tongue has been injured, obviously and it's extra sensitive because there's a lot of nerves in the tongue. It's a big muscle, but it's full of nerves. So if that's had an injury, like due to a wreck with a snaffle mouthpiece, a broken mouthpiece sometimes, that's where most of the tongue injuries come from. But think about it. Think about balance across the cheeks. The horse can pick that up on his tongue and get it completely off his bars. The bars are just bone with a little bit of skin on them, where the tongue is that big muscle.
Mm-hmm.
So the straight bar is just more I'm losing my vocabulary as I get older, but it's more choice for the horse as to how he wants to carry it. When you start putting a big port in there, now you're taking that away. He can't, with his tongue, he's not able to lift that off the bars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Depending on the height of the tongue relief.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right? So those big high ports with no roller in them or anything, they really can't lift those off their tongue. So you're working off the bars of the horse. And with the broken mouthpieces that most people use, or a lot of people use, that gives you the ability to use force on the outside of the bar. So it's not even equal pressure across the top of the bar. It's when you pull on the left side, you're creating pressure oftentimes on the outside of the bar as the mouthpiece joins,
yeah.
Right? And so I've seen horse skulls just for looking at with, Greg Darnell is an amazing bit maker, horseman. He's got a line of bits that's all over the country but he's actually a very good horseman. A judge in the AQHA events. He's been making bits. He's made beautiful handmade bits. But he also has the production. But he has a bit talk that he gives, and he'll carry around these horse skulls, and he'll say he's got one that's an old snaffle bit horse. And You know, you can see where the outside of the bars have just been ground off, you know.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, they're a good training tool, but they're more of a pressure rather than a signal type
Yeah.
tool, right? Not that you can't get a good snaffle bit horse to respond to things, but when he gets up in age, notice they have the snaffle bit maturity at like 3 years old,
Yeah.
right? I mean, my kid was doing great in kindergarten, but I went ahead and let him go all the way through school, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's,
And he didn't use crayons the whole time.
didn't use crayons the whole time. Yeah. He went on through the grades, you know, on through the process. They don't have a snaffle bit maturity for 16-year-old horses for a reason, you know? So,
Yeah.
So, that's the beginning stages of their training, and it just shows how well they are at that stage, right? And they're amazing. But so, you know, I'm not a bit snob. I don't say, oh, this is how it's done. I just chosen my little niche because I'm only one man and I can't do it all. So I sort of chose to focus on the bridle bit, the signal type bit, your spades and your half breeds and some ports. But I like a little kind of a narrow port with some rollers in it. I mean, a lot of people don't realize it, but those rollers soak up a lot of nervous energy. You know, you see a horse standing there pawing the ground, you probably don't have that roller in his bit, you know.
Yeah.
It just gives them a bad, acceptable habit of standing there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To stand there rolling that and that nervous energy. Also, if you could keep their tongue moving, keep their jaw moving, that keeps their mouth moist.
Yeah.
They're working that saliva in there, and so their mouth's probably not going to get sored up at the end of a long day doing their job, you know.
Yeah.
And I build a mouthpiece. I mean, my main goal is just I want you to be able to bridle your horse, and he shouldn't have to think about that for the rest of the day. It shouldn't be in there doing things to him. He should just be able to carry it, adjust his headset to wherever he can carry it the most comfortably, and he should just be able to forget about it so you can rope and sort and do everything a good cow horse is supposed to do. I mean, if you've got some sort of mechanical device in there that does this or that, that's kind of like me going to a dance with a rock in my boot, you know. I'm not going to be thinking about my job.
Yeah.
I'm going to thinking about how uncomfortable this guy's making me.
Yeah.
But whatever, a good horseman can take a piece of hay twine and make a good horse. And somebody that ain't can take the finest thing out there and not have a good horse.
Yeah. Or, I mean, we got to talk about horses too. Not every horse is capable of being a snaffle bit maturity horse.
Oh, no. I mean,
so it's not just the bit.
No, I mean, the owner's responsibility is just to take every horse to the fullest potential that they can.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. That's all you can do. And if you've got a really good one and you're extra handy, my problem is, number one, maybe not picking out the best horses, and number two, not being the handiest guy around. So what I wind up with, you know, in the past, throughout my entire life, has been probably a little bit subpar, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I used to pride myself on being able to do things, you know, regardless. But I wished to go back in time. I think I would have picked a little better quality horse and tried to do a little better job with them. You know?
I think everybody would.
Yeah,
so
I think so.
I'm going to ask this question. I go catch a horse right now. Said, here you go, Ernie. This is what you're riding today. What's the bit that you're going to put in his mouth?
I'm going to put a Barqueño in his mouth.
Describe that.
I will. It's a straight bar with a half-breed port. It's like a spade bit, but it's bobbed off. so there's zero pallet pressure, but it has the braces. Now, the braces on a spade bit or a Barqueño are above the mouthpiece. They're wires, loose wires, wrapped with copper. And they are super sensitive. As far as when I pick up a rein, he's going to be able to know that before I even tighten them up.
Mm-hmm.
That little brace is going to tell him, hey, something's up.
Yeah.
I need to collect myself, right? But I met an old man down in California named Dick Deller. He actually wrote a book on spade bits, but I mean, he's one of them old-time bit guys. He's since passed away. I was so lucky to get to know him. When I first went down there was Tom Dorrance and him were sitting over there visiting, and I was at a show down there with my stuff. And they'd both come by, but they didn't say much, you know. But someone else said, hey, kid, if you want to learn something about bridle bits, go talk to those old guys. I said, well, who are they? Well, that's Dick Deller and Tom Dorrance. It wasn't Tom, it was Bill Dorrance. So, yeah, I visited with them guys almost all day and left Teresa in the booth selling stuff. But I stayed in their hip pocket.
Probably went better that way anyway.
But I asked Dick, I said, I know you got a tack room full of bits. I said, you know, and you've won at the Cow Palace. You've done everything you could do with a bridle horse back in the 60s and 70s and whatnot. And I said, if your barn was on fire, which one would you run in there to grab with the smoke rolling? Only time to get one. And he said, it's kind of an old handmade. He said, but it's got the mouthpiece in it that any horse will pack. Any broke horse will pack that bit. He didn't know what it was called. So he sent me a picture, and it was one of those pictures where he had to shake it to make it show, you know.
Oh,
you're old.
The Polaroid.
Or you're young, yeah. It was a Polaroid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I get one of those in the mail about a week later.
Yeah.
And it was basically a half-breed with braces.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't change it that much from the original recipe. And this is kind of funny anyway. That's another one of my misconceptions. I seen that picture, and I built one, but I didn't like the way the braces were attached at the top. It looked a little unsanitary. Like, kind of a ring hanging out there to hook it on. Maybe that would lay on the tongue kind of weird, so I just put a little bobbed off spade, like a pencil roll on it, just for a protection, right? And I went down to California to San Ynez to a show, and I had two of them. And an old feller come by, and he says, oh, Barqueño. And I thought it was with a B. So I went home and spelled it wrong on my brochure. And it was actually a V, because in Spanish, the V is pronounced like a B.
Really?
Yeah. So what he meant to say was Barqueño. And then I got to looking through an old bit and spur maker book, and there it was, spelled with a V. It's a different version, though. Mine's different. So I thought, oh, shit, I'll just stick with that. I guess I made it. I'll call it whatever I want to, you know? So, yeah, anyway, it's the braces do two or three things, right? They got a lot of copper on them, so they create a lot of salivation to keep the mouth moist.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're sensitive to movement, any little movement. That gives your horse that heads up. He's going to ask me for something here in a second.
Yeah.
And then you hang that bit a little bit lower in their mouth to accommodate that brace. So now your horse needs to pick that up to carry it comfortably.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to let it flop around in his mouth. He's going to actually be carrying the bit. So if you've heard the term pack the bit.
Yeah.
Everybody's heard the term. But that means that he's got a hold of it. You could unbuckle the headstall, he'd still walk off without spitting that out.
Yeah.
Right? And so that horse is going to be obviously more sensitive to one that doesn't have a hold of it, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so it's all about being subtle. It's like the big rowed buckaroo spurs, you know. I mean, and spurs, a lot of times, the right spurs for the right guy. Tall guys are going to want a little bit longer raised. The thing is, you don't want to move your foot any further than necessary to touch or cue the horse. If I've got a set of spurs with shanks that are about right for me, I should be able to just turn my toe out and touch the horse. But if I've got some little stubby spurs on and might be riding a smaller horse, and there's a 1.5 feet between my foot and his side, you know, how do you make a subtle move that long?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and it changes your cue.
Yeah, it does. So I guess the big misconception out there is that, you know, maybe big rowels are mean and vicious, but I mean, you're only using the point of them anyway, right? and then if it's close enough to the horse as you're riding that you can just turn your toe out to make a subtle contact, then you can stay very controlled. But the further that move is, the less control you have over it. And by the time you've moved your leg 9 inches, you might have a little too much velocity going on at that point, right?
Yeah.
So it's all about how hard do you want to work all day, every day
Mm-hmm.
on a horse, looking for cattle or whatever it is you're doing. You know?
Yeah.
So if I can get that same message across more subtly, instead of acting like I'm peddling, that's got to be way better.
Yeah.
And that's why you watch those bridle horses. The cues are so subtle you don't even catch them.
Yeah.
It looks like he's just working on his own, and sometimes they are. But you've got your seat, you've got your legs, you've got your knees, your thighs. Everything can be a signal or a cue, you know. And though the California style bit's also a leverage bit. So I mean, if you're heading for the timber, yeah, you can do that. If you're having a runaway, you just got into the bees or whatever. I've had some pretty broke horses come pretty well undone in certain circumstances.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just got to pull on him to save your life. I mean, if he's going to run out in front of a truck, I don't want to be too gentle.
Yeah.
I mean, so you got to be real about it. So you have that if you need it. But as far as like the spade bit or those bits being harsh bits, it's supposed to be just the opposite. They look big to some people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what scares them. But, you know, would you want me standing on your hand with a tennis shoe or a high-heeled shoe? So, I mean, surface mass reduces PSI by leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
So if you've got a tiny little twisted wire mouthpiece
Mm-hmm.
versus a normal 7/16 solid bar, I mean, 2 pounds of pressure at your hand could equal, you know, would make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So, but I mean, also with a leverage bit, loose jawed California type bits, the pressure is mainly on the curb strap, right?
Yeah.
Where with a snaffle, it's pretty much in the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not ranking them. I'm just making the difference. I mean, I've used snaffle bits. I've made a bunch of them. They're fine. It's just that you should understand what you have there.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I've dealt with some pretty hard-mouthed ex-racehorses. You know, when you ride them standing up, leaning back on their mouth.
They're taught to push.
They're taught to push against the pressure rather than give to it, yeah. And, you know, it's fair enough. But if they were racing from daylight to dark, like you're out gathering cows, they'd be pretty tired.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So it's just horses for different people, for different events, for different purposes, all over the world, you know. Look at those guys in Mongolia, for crying out loud, roping a reindeer on the end of a stick, you know. Jiminy, you might have to train that horse a little bit.
Yeah.
I got nothing but respect for people that make a living horseback, whether they're goat roping or whatever, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So we were kind of talking about like how you started the business aspect of it. Or not really, but talking about packing bits around to shows.
Yeah. Yeah. I was on the road going to shows. Like I say, that was before the internet, and things were just a little bit tougher those days, you know. As far as that goes, it was better in a lot of ways because I would meet a man and get to shake his hand.
Yeah.
And develop customers in that way, where a lot of people don't want to do that so much anymore.
Yeah.
They'd rather send you a message and, you know, rather than even call you.
Yeah.
So it's just, but after a few years of that, I mean, I did start, after I went to that firearms engraving school, I didn't want to go out and ruin a bunch of guns. So I started incorporating that into my bit and spur making. And I didn't know how that was going to go, but it took off. It took off big time because the reason I went to that school is because I thought, well, I can't really make a living building these bits and spurs. I mean, hell, that old guy even told me so, you know. But,
yeah.
But then I thought, those firearms engravers, they're probably where the money's at. Mm-hmm. Another big misconception. I'm just chasing one after another. Anyway, I started doing that on my bits and spurs, and it had been done centuries ago, but not so much in the last couple 100 years, you know. And engraving right on the steel itself.
Yeah.
And so I would incorporate some inlay work with some firearms engraving. And then it just had a lot of contrast. And I think that grabbed a lot of people's attention. And then all of a sudden, my handmade bit business started going better. And I started being able to, well, I didn't just jump out and raise my prices. In fact, it was taking me longer doing it that way than if I hadn't. There's probably half again more time invested in each piece. And but the collector guys started buying them, and of course they want to make a profit, so they resell them. And after 3 or 4 years of that, I thought, well, heck, they're getting one from me, and they're going out and selling it for twice as much, and maybe I should just get twice as much. So I kind of ambled off in that direction, you know.
Yeah. So where did the TCAA come in?
Well, in 1998, the same year that I met Tegan, took over his business, or not his whole business, but his production line.
Yeah.
A group of guys got together, Mike Beaver, a braider from Idaho, Kerry Schwartz, saddle maker from Idaho. And we had known each other from doing all the different shows in Elko and all over the place. You kind of get almost like a troop, you know?
Yeah, like a little rodeo community.
Yeah,
like
you don't travel.
When you were growing up.
Yeah, you don't travel together, but you're always there at the same place, and nobody shows up at the event, so you end up yakking and trading things back and forth for most of the time, you know. I mean, I went to a lot of shows. sometimes when I didn't sell much at all, And
Sorry.
yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna have a shot of coffee. Yeah, and anyway, I was super blessed to get invited to that group, to start the group.
So it started in 98.
Started in 98. Yeah, and Don King was involved.
Yeah.
Dale Harwood was involved. John Ennis, Mark Dahl, Mark Drain. I mean, some real masters, right? Chuck Storms from Alberta.
So those are mostly saddle makers.
Yeah. Yep. And Carrie's a saddle maker too. And
but what is the TCAA?
Traditional Cowboy Arts Association.
And so it encompasses rawhide, silver, bits, spurs,
And
saddles.
That was the. And we knew at the time there's more cowboy trades than that, but we thought, well, let's just start out with this, and because we all know one another. I was a pup. I mean, I didn't know. I'd only met Don King once or twice, but I mean, he was a big guy in my mind, and also Al Tegan signed on. He never went to a show, but he sent some work. And Al Pachetti, he was a silversmith from Reno, where a lot of guys learned from him too. Let's see.
So you started it.
We started it, and
what was the goal?
Well,
or the mission statement?
I think we all kind of came at it with different ideas in mind.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what my thoughts were. Back in the day, you would go to a trade show. They would want pictures of your work to approve your work.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't easy. You had to politic your way into some of these shows.
Yeah.
Like I say, there was no internet, so what else are you going to do, right? And so you would send photos. They would have a committee. They would approve you. You would show up and, pay for your booth. You might drive 1,000 miles or whatever.
Yeah.
And set up next to somebody selling rock and roll T-shirts.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, man. I thought we all had to be juried in here, and I like rock and roll T-shirts. Just that, why did you want my pictures,
Yeah.
And so you end up with, or crocheted beer can hats. I mean, has anyone seen one of those lately? Do you remember those?
No.
Oh my God.
No,
they were beer cans cut up, and people crocheted and made. It's kind of old stuff. I wonder how old you got to be to have actually seen one in existence. Anyway, this is mid to late 90s when we're forming this group. And that's one thing I wanted to address. It's like, if we're going to have some serious collectors come to a show, we need to have a serious exhibition. And wouldn't it be cool to get some of the top guys and just have just a show with the 8 or 10 or 12 guys, right? And we didn't know where it was going to be, and we didn't know how we were going to do it, and we didn't know a whole lot of stuff. And we invited, I'll say, a half a dozen other guys that just said, oh, that's never going to work. Not going to work. Yeah, we don't want to do it. Because it had been tried before, different groups. I mean, you got to remember that gear makers, and I think a lot of cowboys in general are introverts, total introverts.
Well, and
right?
artists.
Artists, yeah. I mean, we're not joiners.
Yeah.
For the most part. It's like, just kind of want to go our own way, even with the rodeo, we just did it at our own pleasure, right?
Yeah.
No big. We got to be here, do this, do that, whatever.
Yeah.
They're for our own benefit, and so I mean it. And anyway, the museum, National Cowboy Hall of Fame and Museum in Oklahoma City, heard about us, and they just so happened to have been planning to try to put on a contemporary gear show, but it's like herding cats, dealing with artists. So when they found out about us, they thought, why should we comb the world over to find a bunch of individuals when we can just make one phone call and have these guys come and do that for us?
Yeah.
So we had our first show there in Oklahoma City in 1999, excuse me. And it's been clicking along every year since then. I mean, our faces have changed over the years. Some members have passed away or retired, and we've got new ones all the time. So
yeah.
It's
How many members is there now? Are you still pretty involved?
Actually, I resigned year before last, and I'm now what's called an emeritus member.
Yeah.
So I can still participate in the exhibit, but I don't have to pay the dues or go to all the meetings.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun.
So how many members is there?
Boy, I am not sure. I think active members are probably 12 or 13, maybe. And then there's a pretty big handful of emeritus members at this point.
Yeah. What's the process to become a member?
Well,
or does it work that way?
It does work that way. It's kind of changed over the years. Now we actually have someone fill out an application, but they present it in person at our annual exhibit, and they get interviewed and bring work to show. And then even after that, it's a tough deal because it takes 75% of the vote of the membership.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to get in. I mean, so there's been some people that were disappointed that they didn't get in, and then the following year they reapply and got in that way. I know some guys applied like more than 6 times.
Yeah.
But every year, once you apply and if you don't make the cut, you have every right to say, hey, what do I need to do here?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of what happened. And every year, there's something like, and we'll help people.
Yeah.
We have an educational program that was the other main reason we started the group, was that as a nonprofit group, you can raise money, you can award scholarship, you can award fellowships. I mean, a lot of us had a pretty good interest in teaching, because some people say the trades were pretty much dying out. I don't know that. It was the internet was kind of new. We just didn't know about everybody, but we wanted to raise the expectation of the level of quality that customers were aware of, right? Like they've been making some, like our show, it's kind of cool because you can go there and see a $30,000 saddle. Well, there's a lot of people that before our exhibit thought, now they're getting $30,000 for a saddle. It's like, no, we were making those before.
Yeah.
I was doing silver for very expensive. The difference is the public gets an opportunity to see these.
Yeah.
In the past, in the past, a private collector would have a saddle made.
Yeah.
The saddler would call me, give me the specifics. We'd get the job done. We might take one of those Polaroid pictures.
Yeah.
And I would send him the silver. He would put the saddle together. He might send me a crappy, low-quality photo of it. And then it would go straight to the collector and into a collection, and no one knew anything about it. And so the only thing that was new was that it was kind of cool. I thought that the public is like, wow, they get to see these, because our deal with the TCAA is bring it. What could you do if there was no limitation on you?
Yeah.
So it's quite a commitment, because you don't know if you're going to sell the items or not.
Yeah. But the TCAA helps promote it.
Yeah, through the show.
Yeah.
And then in the museum. So it's like been game on from the beginning. When I started, like I say, I was a young pup then in my mind, and John Ennis was a member. And I mean, oh my God, he's like the best spur maker throughout history, I think. He could have worked for any king or prince in anywhere and made anything they wanted.
Yeah. Weapons
or spurs or anything. His metal work is just phenomenal. And he was the big kahuna in the spur business in my mind. And it's like, he's going to be there. I got to show up with something.
Yeah.
I mean, forget about the customers. I want to impress Don King. I want to impress Dale Harwood. I want to impress John Ennis and Mark Drain and Mark Dahl. If I show up with something that'll impress them, I don't have to worry about the public. They're going to like it. You know? So every year was just do the best you can do. 2 or 3 items. And it was quite an obligation, kind of a risk, probably not a great business model to spend half of your year making things you may or may not be able to sell. I don't really have much left, though. So even if it didn't sell at the show, over time it's found a new home, you know?
Yeah.
At the same price. We put items in that show, we don't reduce the price afterwards. That's one of our rules.
Perfect.
Yeah, you bring it to the show with the price that you plan to sell it for on your own later if it doesn't sell.
The market.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that honestly, I think that's allowed a lot of people to make a better living, whether they're involved with it or not. It's like, Rick Bean became a member of the group, but before that, we had a really hard time getting him involved, because he's like, why do I need to be a member of the group? I can get twice as much for my saddles now because of you guys.
Yeah. Well, all this goes back to capitalism.
Yes.
And if people don't survive doing this, they're not going to continue to do it, and the art's going to go away.
Yeah, I mean, if I've got to quit and do something else, I guess you don't get any more of my work, And so I've toughed it out. A lot of guys can't. I mean, I don't think you can do this by yourself. I mean, I've had a partner in Teresa that they could just take care of everything else. So I could dive into this 16 hours a day if I wanted to.
Yeah.
And I don't even know who my home is insured through now. I don't have any idea. Yeah. So it almost takes a partner to be able to put that much focus into what you're doing.
Yeah.
And but we've given out a ton of fellowships, and I mean they're paying off big time. We've got 4 or 5 full-time members now that came up through the scholarship fellowship program.
Mm-hmm.
And then, now they're going to take the ball and run with it. I'm stepping out of the way pretty much.
It'll be interesting to see what's possible now.
Mm-hmm. But that was the one of the benefits was that obligation. That obligation to build your best work has allowed me to create over the last 28 years a body of work that no one would have ordered ever.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, you go to bed at night sleeping, dreaming about what bits ought to look like for years and years and years and years. You're going to probably come up with some ideas.
You know? Yeah.
So, and I don't have that many new ideas now, but I sure ran through a bunch of them. But that body of work has allowed me to gain recognition. Like 2016, I got a United States Artist Fellowship. It was a $50,000 grant right in your pocket.
Really?
Yeah.
And the recognition.
Yeah.
Which I think is so cool that.
Yeah, mainstream recognition.
Mainstream. That's it.
The word I was looking for earlier. Yeah. But I had to go to Chicago, and they had a lot of us artists. There was artists, performers, musicians, architects. It was,
You fit right in.
Yeah, no. But I was in the traditional category. But they had like 40 people there that year. But the artists like me, they put us in a big theater there, right downtown freaking Chicago, up on the stage with a giant screen, and got to do a slideshow. And I'm not a public speaker guy. It scared the hell out of me, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, you hear about Chicago, it's supposed to be some kind of war zone. And, parts of it may be, but I didn't see any of that. They treated, hell, I felt like Will Rogers, man. Everybody wanted to shake the cowboy's hand.
Yeah.
Hey, cowboy, how you doing,
Yeah.
The scariest thing about that place was crossing the street.
Yeah.
The crosswalks are 30 feet wide, and there's like 300 people on the other side, 300 people on your side, and you just kind of reminded me of that movie Braveheart, where the two armies are coming together, But you just went right through. Was no trouble at all. Anyway, that body of work that I have been allowed to create through my obligation with the TCAA has just led to all kinds of cool stuff, Last year, got that National Endowment for the Arts Heritage Award that meant so much to me because my mentor got it, Elmer Miller, in '93. Just how many years later? 33 years later, And that's not just about, oh, he's a great craftsman. That's not all that's about. It's about the recognition. It's not what about a great person you are. It's what you've done for the industry as far as the teaching and has your work affected other people in the trades. And I would have to say that yeah, it probably has, because you see a lot of bits, handmade bits with that gray finish and that steel engraving, and that's cool. I've told everybody that's ever asked me about any of it, I've just told them right up front, which wasn't necessarily the case 40 years ago. Craftsmen didn't really want to share things, right? But to this day, I remember everybody that's helped me, and I kind of remember some turkeys that didn't,
Yeah.
But they couldn't stop you. If somebody wants to learn it, they're going to learn it. Either tell them how or get the hell out of their way.
Yeah.
So
you did you pioneer? Do you feel like you kind of pioneered that steel engraving? Your style.
I can't take credit for it completely, because you can go to a museum in France and see something similar. I did it, like I say, out of necessity.
Yeah.
But it was just a new look.
But in this industry.
Yeah, in this industry, I would say so.
How do you come up with the firefly and the bumblebee? And
how'd
you come up with a firefly?
Yeah, you just think about things in nature that are cool. That's where all the good designs come from, right?
Yeah.
That's why I just don't think I could do what I do if I lived in a town with a sidewalk and a bunch of traffic.
Yeah.
I got to look out the window and find my inspiration.
Yeah. Hummingbird.
Lizards.
Yeah.
I did a pair of lizard spurs once.
Yeah. I don't know why, but I believe it's a bit with that hummingbird or firefly on the side of it.
I've done a couple of them.
That's just when I think of Ernie Marsh, I think of that firefly.
Yeah, I did. I enjoy doing things like that. Multicolored gold.
Yeah.
Boy, that stuff's getting expensive.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got some processes. Something else I was going to get to too.
Well, what are you doing now? Kind of talked about it on the phone the other day, but.
Well, now I'm kind of, I wouldn't say I'm semi-retired, but our production bit business, we kind of took on a partner, another young guy, just like I used to be.
Mm-hmm.
So now my friend Pat Holliker in Burns, Oregon is making those. So
the Tegan bits.
The Tegan bits. Yep. The legacy of the Tegan bits, which, Al made them from 69 to 98. We made them from 98 to 2022. So we actually did it longer than he did.
Yeah.
And now they're being made in Oregon. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Holliker Marsh bits is the stamp in them now. And then I'm still making handmade items. A lot more into the silver and buckle business now. But mainly through outlets. I'm trying to develop a kind of a luxury item, belt buckle. I'm not making production. I'm just one guy with arthritis, so I can't make hundreds of things, right?
Yeah.
So I just take my time and try to make them nice, and I'm doing a lot more teaching. I'm really into that. I used to get my inspiration from the old guys, but now that a lot of them aren't around anymore, and I'm kind of getting to be the old guy, so I kind of get my inspiration from the young people that want to learn. And when they show up, they get excited, and that kind of makes me excited. And then, they want to learn stuff. So, heck, I want to learn more stuff so I can show them more stuff.
Yeah. So
it's just kind of a snowball there, and it kind of keeps me rolling,
Yeah.
And so we're building a building down in Graybull, Wyoming, that I hope will turn into a place where multiple students can show up at one time, and we can have little seminars and classes. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
And then hopefully we're gonna have a little leather shop set up in it and a blacksmithing area. And I'm not qualified to teach either of those, but I have friends that are, and they've assured me that they would show up to put on little classes, beginners to advanced, And when they're there doing that, I could just run the barbecue.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking forward to. But I'm thinking we're going to call it the Bighorn Western Trade Studio. And we're going to live there. And it'll be about 2 miles out of Graybull, out of downtown. So there'll be motels and restaurant and things for where we're at now. I take students now, but it's mainly a one at a time, and we're kind of off the beaten path, and it's not that handy to run in and out of town.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this place. About the same deal,
A different goal.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
What, you got any social media presence or a website?
Well, the Holliker Marsh website, the Holliker Marsh Bids. Someone looks that up, they could see some of those. we got rid of our personal website. We have a Marsh Brothers Facebook page. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And
Ernie brought his memory today.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I teach also kind of on, I don't know how you describe it, but I have a thing called Patreon. And so I have, I don't know, quite a few people on there that want to learn my trade. And so it's a great introduction to it. So it's Patreon / Ernie Marsh, but it's just about bits and spurs. And I used to try to talk about that on Facebook, but you get all hung up in the brownie recipes and people being sick and dying and, things like that. It's just, so I decided to get rid of my Facebook and just go right to the Patreon, where people that are interested in what I do, we can all kind of focus in there. And I don't do too many videos. I want to learn how to make more video, but it's hard to do something and video it by yourself, one-handed. So I do a lot of pictures, steps. I'm starting this pair of spurs. This is step 1, a series of photographs. Go to step, 2, 3, on down the line. It might be 10 or 12 posts on that same pair of spurs, because there's a lot of steps. Yeah. But I make, I think my last thing I put on there was how to get depth out of a silver overlay, where you can actually saw that single piece of silver and you can tuck and lift and raise like flower petals and tuck under other areas under it to get more depth in the piece before you actually start engraving it, and then you can just give it even more. When you're done, it really pops, Yeah. So I was trying to demonstrate that the other day. And if anyone sees it and doesn't get it, I talk to a lot of people on there through that,
Patreon.
Yeah.
Gonna have to look it up.
But it's really, and you can sign on for free. I have different categories on there. I don't fully understand technology very much myself, so that's partly why I have a hard time posting it. And you need really good internet for things to work on there. So sometimes I'll have to go to the house and do something. But what was the question? But it's all good. People can sign on there for free and just see like finished items. Mm-hmm. Like, this is fresh off the bench. Here it is. That doesn't happen that often though, because things that I make take some time, right? Yeah. And then the next step up is get into the paid deal where I actually teach you how to do it. Yeah. But I like the free aspect because not everybody wants to do it. They just want to see cool stuff. So I tell them about it anyway. Yeah. And then there's even a little bit higher category for people that want to help me buy tools for people, because sometimes anytime I get a student, there's a lot of tools that we have to make. Mm-hmm. I usually try to send them home with a handful of stuff, so it's kind of nice. Because, it's easier to make it after you get home if you have one in your hand, right? Yeah. Pretty easy to forget what something looks like if you don't. So I want them to get off on the right track. And it's kind of cool.
Well, I think that's a pretty good place to end. Appreciate you coming up. And I learned a lot, but I think what I learned the most about was that you kind of resurrected the cowboy arts in America, which I think is a pretty important thing.
I think what happened, in the 1970s, 80s, 90s, a lot of the good handmade stuff just got crowded out of the public view. Yeah. It kind of went underground, like I was saying, to the collectors, to the cowboys out in the middle of nowhere. They still knew what was going on, but they're not into showing off their stuff, Yeah. So I could mention one other group right now. If people out there are interested in the cowboy trades or they're already participating, there is a new group called the Cowboy Trades Association. It's pretty much open to everybody that wants to participate, and it could turn into something. It's in its total infancy right now, so not a lot of questions could be answered.
Yeah.
I'm just a member. I'm not one of the board members or anything, but yeah, they could find out about that if they looked it up on the internet too. And it could be helpful for a lot of young people because I think they're wanting to develop scholarship programs, training programs, things like that.
Part of the community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else?
What did I forget? I think I'll think of something on the way home.
Exactly. That's how this usually works. Well, and just so everybody knows, I was an hour late. I completely forgot about this.
Yeah.
So
well, that wouldn't help me any.
I'll tell it on myself. Yeah. Well, thanks, Ernie. Appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having us, and I guess we'll be here next week again for buck and horse sale.
Sounds good. Yep. Thanks, Ernie.
Yep. Thank you.